Okay. Welcome everyone to Masculine Geek number 283, the final public live stream. That's all, folks. Well, not indefinitely. Well, not indefinitely. Just a bit of, as TJ said, this is a bit of a hiatus. So trying something different. AJ, I wanted to give MG Life members free access to Masculine Geek, our members only YouTube streams. However, YouTube does not offer that kind of functionality, like giving members free access. So, if you want to join, do so, and I will immediately reimburse you. So, that's how that works for any MG Life member. We'll get free access to this. So, there's that.
Because we were never doing this for the money anyway. It was never about that.
No, not really.
Yeah.
If there's a way to do it, AJ, let me know, because I perused all the YouTube help documents, which, given YouTube help documents, is probably all wrong. So, yeah. Paul, figure it out. Cool. Shut up, Mictobus. Bastard. We'll see you at the Gettysburg meetup.
Right.
Fucker. Yeah, he'll be playing D&D with us. So that'll be cool. As will AJ. Anything else in the chat? DJ Play Nice, number 283. Yes, 283. What's up, Blake? It is. Bless you. Thanks, Blake. Yeah, so this is I'll have to read what is that a subtle dig at TJ? TJ did privately admit to me that he's going to honor somebody and read the rule book before November. So I'm going to hold him to that. That's right.
Right.
Yes, indeed. AJ is going to be playing. You've never read 1A? Oh, that's right. You did 5th edition, did you not? Cool. Yeah, you got all right. So we got 12. Immediately, we have 12 people watching. You guys suck balls. You hear me?
What?
We never really have this many on our live streams. It usually it's a gradual working up to anywhere between 10 and I've seen up to 23.
It's kind of like when Arthur Conan Doyle killed off Sherlock Holmes because he was tired of it, and everybody's like, what? And then he had to bring it
Yeah,
back.
they lost their shit. Andy, you fucking bastard! Yeah, I swallow your mom's squirt, maybe.
God.
Is this what we're devolving to? This is where the direction we're going?
I'm going to say this isn't Let It Burn.
You're the captain of the ship, so you can decide.
We're all I'm the back the back functionality captain of the ship. You are my co-host as well, so you do have a responsibility to pick up the slack if and when I drop the ball. So not that I'm dropping the ball, but
all right. Well, let me know when you're dropping the ball.
I'm dropping the ball. Go ahead, say some shit.
I think that it's a good time to reflect on the things that have changed since you and I met. It's incidentally and ironically that we're meeting at Gettysburg in a couple months, because that's roughly the same time that we first met, and this was 2018, and that's when I first played D&D, and that's when you also roughly around that same time you invited me to do Masculine Geek with you and a bunch of other people, including Clary.
Yeah,
and the thing is that it was a bunch of guys openly talking about geek stuff, and not just Dungeons and Dragons, but like stuff. I brought up my typewriters. We talked about pipe tobacco and all that kind of stuff. And so what has changed since then is that, and people can argue what the cause is, but we're at the point where a lot of guys that would have never admitted under torture that they loved Warhammer 40K, now they're openly talking about it on social media. And that obviously is a geek hobby, but like all these other hobbies that normal guys, ordinary guys, not these basement dwelling, pale faced guys, um, are into. It's like these are normal guys, normal men with families or whatever. And so I feel like that's been the biggest change since we started this channel, is that things that we started talking about this stuff openly before anybody else. And that includes,
January of 2019.
I get that Henry Cavill has come out as a Warhammer enthusiast. That was really recently. We were talking about masculine geek stuff, and also to be kind of not harsh or like blunt or whatever, but just to kind of contextualize, he's a Hollywood celebrity. He's a Hollywood star. He's got a lot of money. He really doesn't have to care, because at some point in your career, you're just like, whatever, I don't care. Like he's the Witcher or whatever. Other guys, there's kind of a risk of like social proof or social, affirmation of coming out and saying that you're into stuff. So I feel like that's where we really broke the ground of talking about things that a lot of guys didn't feel comfortable talking about. And if they did it in a very closed, pardon the expression, but a safe space, a space where there was other guys like them, like Alcoholics Anonymous or whatever you want to call it.
Geeks Anonymous.
Well, they're talking, Geeks Anonymous or whatever.
Geeks
They're talking
Anonymous.
about it with guys, and they're doing it anonymously online. I promise you, a lot of these guys.
Well, that's how we met. That's how we met Jack Napier. I'll go back to that first year when he was actually sandbagging and in the closet watching Masculine Geek, and he had made some comments on some of our earlier shows. He's like, I'm glad this is great. Like-minded guys can gather together here and talk about their geek stuff. Now, for whatever reason, he has since deleted that post. I don't know why, but I remember him saying that. And also, Jack Napier came out of the anonymity closet and showed his face first on a Masculine Geek show.
Yeah.
So that was cool. We've inspired a lot of shows, especially in this. I hesitate to say red pill space or manosphere space, but for lack of better terms,
men. The sphere of the internet where men are talking about male stuff, and it's
well, I agree with your assessment and your new description, but those are the old. What I'm saying is those are the old descriptions.
Yeah, the old terms. Yeah,
the old
and
terms.
I feel like that was the thing is that we kind of made it acceptable for them to come. I don't know any other. Well, I can think of other expressions, but the idea is that
we had to lead.
Yeah.
Here.
We had to lead. You fucking followers, you pieces of shit. Now,
talk to me, Goose. I think what it was is that when somebody could come on our show, talk about their geek stuff, and they were kind of initiated to where it's like it's acceptable for you to now go back on wherever you are from, whether it's from a channel or just in life, and you don't need, like, you've gotten affirmation from other men to, like, it's almost like a blessing. Like, we've given you our blessing, like you're geek, but you're also masculine. We acknowledge that, go back and prosper with whatever you're doing, but you don't need to explain yourself anymore because you've had a group of men who are like-minded, but also not a bunch of spurgs and retards. They have said we're okay with that,
Exactly. No, exactly.
Well, it's kind of appropriate that Rob says is in the chat, and I don't know if he heard me summons him by mentioning Let It Burn, but
I guarantee you we were an inspiration for Let It Burn.
He was part of your guys' original cadre on MG, so
it was
it's kind of amazing. Oh, go ahead.
I would say back in December of 2019, I invited Rob to join us on Masculine Geek.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was one of the original Your ears are burning. Yeah. He's one of the original members.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of just allowed a lot of.
We lost a Rob and gained a Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those two letters make a lot of difference.
They do. They do.
Yeah, I feel like that's just and who knows what really changed it. I mean, I'm not claiming that Henry Cavill watched our channel at some point and just felt comfortable coming out with, whatever he was going to talk about. But it's just interesting how since the time we've started this channel and talked about this stuff, guys like him are openly coming out about their interest in these very what prior, like I only remember very geekish guys openly talking about that they were interested in. And so I almost wonder if we were reading the temperature in the room before anybody else.
Well, I think in Henry's case, he finally reached a level of success that he could say whatever because, women were still going to want him, obviously, because I guess one's now going to have his baby. And, and at the time he was still getting, multi-million-dollar job offers. So he absolutely was in a position where he had nothing to lose. So he didn't need to see us. What makes this channel and all of us, including Rob, the original Rob, kind of unique is we are not multi-million-dollar celebrities. We're just real guys. We all have our own careers. We all have our own aspirations, ambitions, things that we've done, things that we are still doing. And we didn't effing care that you thought it was uncool that we played a fantasy RPG or collected toys or collected books or collected old pulp novels or collected music or collected ex-wives or collected whatever we collected. Some of us collect all of those things. And when we're really lucky, women buy it for us. So, but we did our own thing and when we were unapologetic about it and we didn't care. I mean, I can still remember it was just a couple years ago that Vince, myself, and a few others from here were invited on Rule Zero on a Saturday that Rolla was hosting it. And I still remember as soon as I appeared on camera with my, my office in the background, all the Spurgs in the Rule Zero chat who want to know how to get the women were like, look at the dude broadcasting from his parents' basement or something like that. And I'm like, I've got kids older than you,
says the dudes that do not get laid.
This is this and exactly
it's like, why so it's still not as safe to come out as some would make it out to be. Obviously, Hollywood's found a way to cash in on it. I mean, that's all part of the
this is my problem. This is my problem.
Mictobus, we're not leaving. We're not stopping broadcasting. It's just private and behind a very, very minor, inexpensive paywall.
This is kind of my problem with the internet is that there's a lot of guys who can fake stuff and they can pretend to be something that they're not. Whereas guys who are authentic, they really don't talk about it and they don't feel the need to prove themselves to random people online. I mean, there's stuff that Vince was there. Like I don't have to like prove myself on a lot of stuff to other people because people I know, like Vince, were there. And we don't need, this is the weird thing. Like, we don't need random strangers and anonymous people on the internet to validate the stuff that we're interested in, or like, because it's such a part of the internet with men, is like, we don't need to validate ourselves as in the eyes of random people, as far as the women that we date or that we're with. Like, we don't care. The people who are out there constantly posting stuff and trying to show things, it's like, guys, that's not, we're not here to try and prove anything to anybody. We're here to talk about stuff and share stuff like Geek and Tell. This is all just showing stuff. we're not trying to play like, we're more of a geek, or we're a level 47 swordsman in some random thing. Like we're not trying to like outcompete other people. We're here to share our mutual interests, and if there's something relevant with dating, like that's what we bring it up. But like we're not here to try to prove that we're the most alpha, the whole
Welcome,
alpha
Nicholas.
male of the group type shit. Because it's
Our
just
first,
first of all,
our
it
first
gets
member
old.
on this stream.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Welcome,
Congrats.
Nicholas. Indeed.
Well, yeah, because well, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I don't have to show you my receipts unless
Right.
you're picking up the tab. If you're wanting to pick up the tab, I'll show you my receipt.
I love that
You know.
line. That's a good line.
Yeah,
I don't
But
have to
I mean-
show your receipts unless
Well
you're
done.
paying the bill.
yeah.
Man, that's a good line. That needs to go into a book.
Well, trust me, it's my kids have been harping on that for decades now. But no, I mean,
You smelly prick.
it's one of those things that it's just, if I said something really outlandish or not, doesn't matter. If I said something and you or Vince were like, Robert, love you, man, but really, I mean, come on, really, I mean, be honest with us. It's just us. That's different. You know why? Because you have earned it.
Right.
You've earned the right to call me out if you think, I'm BSing. I mean, you've earned that right. Some anonymous dude on the internet
No,
that
exactly.
is asking Rollo the same question every weekend, wanting to know how to be more, because he's a Sigma male and he needs, to, how do I show the women how cool I really
Level
am? 'cause I'm
47
Sigma
swordsman.
and this, I don't need to prove jack crap to that guy. I don't care. I don't care that he gets laid. I don't care that he gets a girl. I don't care that he gets the car of his dreams or the job of his dreams. You know who I care about? I care about my sons. I care about my friends.
Well,
The rest is just competition.
well,
Maybe.
This is where I'm going to be a little harsh with some of the anonymous spurs. Like, if you got the woman of your dreams, you're not online bragging about it. You're too busy enjoying time with her, and you don't talk about it. It's like, I'm a gym rat. I've been going to the gym for over 20 years. I don't talk about weightlifting online, and there's a lot of other stuff I don't talk about online because I really don't care what random. I don't need validation from random people on the internet. And
Correct.
so, like if I have a PR or I'm hanging out with a cute redhead, like I don't need to post photos or like talk about it online. These people are not God, and they don't get to decide who we are. And I think that that's a part of what I like is this idea that we don't have to constantly prove to other people or to random people, because our audience, we just don't care. Like we're not setting ourselves up as gurus.
We're not trying to sell something, for one.
Right. We're not trying to sell something. Exactly.
And for two, I think that above and beyond that, we're not brand. We're
right.
When you talk to TJ, you're not talking to the brand TJ. You're talking to the man TJ.
Right.
And
Yeah,
maybe
what you see
TJ,
is what you get in real life.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's it. And as far as are we selling Masculine Geek or Masculine Geek Life, as far as, the website and the forums and that kind of stuff, we're not really selling it as much as
it's there.
we're letting it know that, we're letting you know
It's there.
if you want to join. And joining is more than just giving Vince a certain amount of money, because you could offer Vince, any amount of money. And if he thinks you're a Spurg, you're not getting in, because as a gentleman's club, we, the membership, have a say in whether or not you're allowed to join us. Just like if we were all in the same city and it's like, hey, we're going out for steaks and maybe grab a drink at a cigar bar afterwards.
My idea behind Masculine Geek Life was to gather together like-minded men that were passionate about hobbies as we are, to talk and not to say help one another, but in some instance help one another, and to bounce ideas, and whether they're business ideas or personal or financial. But the reason behind putting something behind a paywall is, especially Masculine Geek Life, you put your money where your mouth is, and it weeds out time wasters. Now, Masculine Geek Life is not; it's $29.99 a month. It's nothing, but that weeds out people that are not serious about joining an exclusive group of like-minded men that, for lack of a better terminology, do have courage and honor. Are pretty solid dudes, and that's what I wanted to surround myself with. Pretty solid people, solid dudes that were like, we're doing something with their lives, but wanted to basically join a men's club, hang out, talk. Like I said, bounce ideas off one another, just shoot the shit, have a drink, you want to grab your cigar, your pipe, that kind of thing. And you can talk about, especially with going forward with the Masculine Geek Wednesday regular broadcast being private, we can talk more candidly than we would live. That's also important. Another thing that bothers me with YouTube as well. So, and I lost my train of thought. I'm having an old man moment.
No, but you're right about the thing with YouTube when we get threatened talking about movies.
Oh, all of our live
or anything else,
yeah,
and we
all
still
of our
get
live
made.
streams, all of our live streams get flagged. Every damn one of them. I've shown the emails to TJ and Robert.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think the internet has changed. We were having this discussion this last weekend where we saw stuff. The era of like blogs was back in like 2010 to 2013, 14, and then after that, you really saw the rise in YouTube videos, and then after that, you saw the rise in YouTube live streams, where everything now is a live stream. I've got young relatives who watch other people playing Minecraft on a live stream. That's what they do for entertainment. And so, the internet is changing. A lot of stuff's changing. But I think that the problem with all of this stuff is that my biggest problem with the internet is that it's all about marketing something. And that's what we really try to avoid doing here. We never did, is we're not trying to market anything other than just talking about stuff. And I think that, my hope is that's what the early internet used to be, is people were just talking about stuff. They weren't trying to make money. And there's nothing wrong with making money per se, but when everything is about making money, it becomes inauthentic.
Well, right, and I think in some cases there's Drew should not be giving exercise advice for free, considering all the work he puts into it and as much money as he's invested into not only improving himself but his training and so forth, and what he knows about lifting weights. If you're asking Drew something, Drew deserves to get paid. I mean, it's as simple as that. And even Rollo, who we love giving grief to, especially when he's trying to kill us in D&D, the stuff he writes about, you should have to, the fact that he gives as much of that stuff away for free is great. So buying one of his books, that's not too much. So I mean, those guys do sell things, but they're selling something that's valuable, that's quantifiably of value, and they're not necessarily asking for some kind of weird wacky Amway pyramid scheme where you pay me $50 and I will give you this, and then you do this stuff and get 10 more guys to join and pay $50, and you'll get $5 of their 50, whatever.
You sound like a Christian woman who graduated from a Christian college.
Yeah, but but I mean, it's not some kind of weird pyramid or Ponzi scheme with those guys, and it's certainly not with us, and
Well, and the whole idea, the thing is like, not everything is about money. We're here to talk about masculine geek stuff, but like we're also here to make it clear, like, hey, it's okay to like be masculine, assertive, and dominant in your life, but enjoy these things. I remember I don't want to go down this road too much, but when Daryl Cooper, that podcaster historian guy, was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, and he was talking about Winston Churchill, and he was given a revisionist interpretation of World War II, and he was talking about his criticism of Winston Churchill. And one of his criticisms that not all of it, but this is the one that irked me, was where he's like, yeah, he's a guy who would be in his in a room wargaming with war figures, and we get upset if people disturb him. I'm like, dude, like playing with war figures, wargaming with figures is not a child's game. Peter Cushing did it. Napoleon
Even
did
before
it.
that, it was used by the army and
Right.
operations
And so, like,
for
and that's the problem. Is
battle
like
plan testing.
he was trying to convey that like he was still a perpetual child, and I'm like, that's not a valid criticism, but it also shows like a lack of understanding of like masculinity in that sense. Like,
especially classical masculinity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like if you want to criticize someone's political positions, or you want to criticize some of their policy decisions, but when you're criticizing their personal
I guarantee you,
lifestyle,
these guys, their grandfathers were playing with miniature figures and miniature trains
Well-
and models. So
well, and that's the problem with, like, you have historians or people who are trying to be historians who are interpreting historical figures from a position where a lot of stuff that today is considered infantile back then was perfectly acceptable. I mean, I remember watching some videos of Peter Cushing playing with his war games. Today, he would, unfortunately, today, if you caught a man doing this, he'd be considered childish. But back then, it was considered acceptable because it was still a quasi-masculine environment. And this is the problem: is like, no, there's a lot of masculine pursuits and interests and hobbies and passions. They're not childish, and calling them childish is it's a sign that, like, of men who don't understand or don't even have the context. They don't even realize that this used to be the case. Napoleon was a big war gamer of that kind. Like, that was how he planned a lot of his military strategies.
that's how you could take something from abstract thought and look at it.
Yeah,
in a
exactly.
3D
In a
sense. You go,
three-dimensional,
okay,
yeah.
three-dimensional space, and obviously it's not real.
I get the Spaceballs reference. Very well done. I get it.
You what? Yes.
Oh, Mixibus. That's a Spaceballs reference. I love it.
Yes.
But like, it bothered me how you have a guy who's with Tucker Carlson. They got millions of people listening to him, and he's interpreting a historical figure based off of his personal hobbies that were not, like, I'm sorry, that's not, you can criticize other aspects of a person's character, but saying, oh, he liked to play with war game or war figures, it's like, that is not a character flaw.
Jealousy and envy is rampant.
Yeah. Well, and of course that's something Matt Walsh is always bashing guys who have hobbies, because we're not pulling our plows nearly enough so that we can save the West.
We're not paying our wives student loans like he is.
Yeah.
God.
Right.
Yeah. It's just interesting how you read about these. This is actually an interesting thing about history books, is where if I'm going to read a history book, I want to know the historian or the guy who's writing the book, because if you're a dork or a loser and you're writing about some famous figure who accomplished a lot of great things, you're going to obsess over his flaws, because those comfort you in saying, oh, well, he wasn't as great of a figure as everybody thought he was, because look at all these things, and he's not that much better than me, and right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a guy who's capable, this is why a lot of classical, authors who were great men were studying other great men. They focused more on the stuff that they accomplished and not on their failings.
Right. And if they did, I mean, there's that classic story. I think it's Caesar when he first goes to Egypt and he's in Alexandria, and he comes before a statue of Alexander the Great,
Yeah.
and he like weeps
Yes.
at how
I remember
pathetic his accomplishments are in light of Alexander's. I mean, that's the standard he's holding himself to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, that lessens Caesar in no way. And a lot of people are like, why on earth would this man? It's like, because there was a time that men held themselves
To a higher standard.
to a personal standard. So it doesn't matter that Vince and TJ think, oh, it's really cool Robert has all those toys. Robert's still thinking there's someone that has more. Robert is still thinking there's someone who
I think it's a great background because I've got a lot of books, but they're all out of sight. They're all up on my. I built a book row because it used to be at my old house, which the owners have since torn down, unfortunately, because I found out. But I've got a ton of books here. If I put them all in my background, they would be visible. But you know, like the whole idea is you want to accomplish something, and if you aspire to greatness, because I'm reading this biography of Patton, like that was a huge aspect of his life.
Which Patton book are you reading, by the way? Are
I'm
you reading his papers, War as I Remember It? What are you reading?
I read that for a paper I wrote in college. The biography I'm reading is Patton, A Genius for War.
Okay.
And I quoted some of it for a paper I wrote in college when I was arguing that Patton should have been given the war supplies that Montgomery got for Operation Market Garden.
Yes.
And that he could have ended the war very quickly by going up through the Siegfried line because it hadn't been rebuilt by the time that he got there.
Right.
So, you know, that kind of stuff. But like Patton was also very obsessed with like living up to his family's reputation in war because he had a lot of relatives who fought and died in the Civil War. And then of course he went to World War I and didn't feel like he'd accomplished his full potential, you know?
No.
So, but it was one of the things that struck me in that his biography was how this is not a guy who was like, oh, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Like, no, this guy had tons of help. He had tons of people around him who were helping him out. He had his father, he had his father-in-law, he had his wife. Like this whole, you know,
backup.
He had people fighting on his behalf his entire life. And it bothers me when people say, well, just go to the manager and shake his hand and look him straight in the eye. It's like, that's not how great men got into where they got. They got wherever they got to. Yes, they did. Chris, now that you mentioned it, yes.
Yeah.
Patton was talking about in this book about his raids against Pancho Villa, which I thought was fascinating. But anyways.
Yeah, definitely, which is something that some people don't remember, just like there are aspects of like the Civil War veterans who, you know, had family that fought in the War of 1812 and of course in the Revolution. Of course, the guys who were officers were all junior officers or maybe even enlisted personnel during the Mexican-American War. And yeah, so it's...
Yeah.
But I mean, all that stuff points to a certain nobility of the American spirit or American character. And since the late 1960s, certainly the Vietnam era, the time when Vince and I would have been starting elementary school, all that kind of stuff has been suppressed or
well, I will say this,
altered.
Since we are talking about the suppression, especially of history,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going down some deep rabbit holes in regard to that very topic. And I will say this. Start looking for history books and journals and essays and things of the like before World War I. Start getting textbooks. And if you guys want to reach out to me and say, hey Vince, what the hell are you talking about? Can you give me a list? I'll compile a list of ones that I found that I'm in the process of purchasing myself. Now they're not cheap. You do need a bit of coin, but the ones that I have purchased are completely worth it because you start seeing the veil that's been pulled over our eyes as far as history is concerned. One thing I will say is look into the phenomena of the world fairs and what's affectionately known as mud floods. At first, I didn't believe it, and I started doing some research, and I've gotten a few books from that time, from the mid to late 1800s, and what is not said now about these things, and the rapidity, how fast these world fairs were built, given the vast acreage and the buildings and the lack of supplies and the lack of support to work, like potential workers actually have these things built. It's fairly amazing. So yes. Oh yeah, the rewriting of history it's been ongoing. I just think of everything that's happened since the internet. All this information's come out about various topics with politics and finance and World War II and a whole host of subjects, and you're left with, holy crap, this is amazing. A lot of these things are having me question history. Just imagine all the crap that happened prior to the internet, prior to photographic evidence, prior to video, all the shit that went down.
I think that this is where you look at the architecture of the Middle Ages and the stuff that they were able to build and accomplish, including the Romans of antiquity or the classical history. And you wonder about what it is they knew that, I mean, for example, Greek fire still eludes us as we, like, they still don't know how to replicate it. And so you kind of wonder about some of these eras where if you went back in time, I get that there were some things that we wouldn't like, but those are technological setbacks on some levels because they weren't at that right time in history. But like, if you went back to say 1200,
Indeed.
what you went to England, like, do you think you would encounter people who were any dumber? Maybe they didn't know stuff. Well, great. Like, you live in the year 2024. You know the Earth revolves around the sun. Congratulations. You didn't figure that out. Somebody else figured that out for you.
Yeah.
You know that washing your hands with soap kills bacteria. It's great.
Yeah. Well,
you know that.
It out.
Yeah. Somebody else.
Well, you stood on the backs of giants with certain things.
Yeah, exactly.
But getting back to the United States. Growing up, what did you know about the United States? Okay. The Pilgrims came here, some Dutch, and then we gave the Indians a fast trip across the country, and that we think that the United States is very, very, very young as far as its civilizations and its buildings and its history, and it's really not. It's like I said, you guys that are interested in this, delve in it further, get books prior to the 1920s. I'm dead serious on this. Get history books, dictionaries, encyclopedia type things, everything. Just start. If you're interested in it, obviously you don't care. Hey, Vince, I don't give a fuck about this. Who cares? All right, fine. But if it sparks your interest and this resonates with you, start delving into these things. God damn it. Buy old books.
Buy old dictionaries. I bought a dictionary from 1950. It's crazy how many words are not in that book that are like part of mine. This is where, you almost want to have a dictionary on hand, a physical one, because they can change it online, but like where you can say, hey, like this word wasn't here from this period. Like, what do you mean? So you're talking about something that came out like recently. Why do I have to accept this? Like, where did this word come from? Who invented it? Why should we trust them? Why should we like them? Why shouldn't we hate them? Why shouldn't we burn them at the stake?
There you
go. No, literally, they changed the definition of a vaccine in my state this last session. Not joking.
Really?
Mhm.
What's it called now?
I don't remember, but there was literally a bill that was introduced to change the definition of a vaccine.
Oh, so if you change the name of something, you somehow change the emotional response and all the bullshit that goes along with it. Somehow, yeah.
Hello.
That's basically euphemistic. Like I remember George Carlin talking about this and how he hated euphemistic language, and he always said like these groups of people like to try to change the definitions and titles of things because they think if they change the words, they change the actual condition.
Yeah, it was like we were talking
No,
about on the weekend.
that doesn't
It's like
work
what we
that
were
way.
talking about we were talking about this with Jack Donovan, where we were talking about word magic, like this idea that
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can
yeah,
change
yeah.
reality by changing people's perception of what is real, and telling people that, oh, this is a vaccine in the year 2024, when back in saying during the time of the revolution, when they required vaccination for smallpox, like totally different, probably totally different thing, like something
Yeah.
that
Oh, yeah.
actually inoculated you, and once you took it, you didn't have to care about,
Yep.
you take the smallpox vaccine, it's like, great, everybody around me has smallpox, I don't care because I've got the vaccine. Whereas now it's like, oh, well, I got the vaccine, but everybody around me has to take it or it's not effective.
Yep. Speaking
Yeah.
of law dictionaries and such, yeah, look, go back and look at old Black's law books,
Oh, lovely.
Black's Law Dictionary. And speaking of law and lawyers, it's only recently that you had to go to college to be a lawyer. In the past, you could just, if you studied and took the bar,
Right.
you could practice law.
Mhm.
Doesn't
Yeah.
mean you were good at it, but you could practice law.
Right.
You
Now,
have to go to
now in
college
my
or
state,
spend
you don't. Now in my state, you don't have to pass the bar. You just have to go to collage,
collage.
which means
It's
pay us
weird.
money, pay us the monies, and we'll give you your law degree.
Yeah, right. I know in Japan, judges in Japan are one, very young, and two, they go to judge school. They don't actually have to spend countless years as a lawyer in order to be a sitting judge. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, Japan has a lot of very interesting cultural quirks.
And they seem to
Most-
work fairly well.
Well, yeah, and they will if your society is mostly, homogeneous, or at least has a strong cultural sense of self. But that's practically verboten in this country. So, every time I drive by a large area with a bunch of Canadian geese, which is like a major criminal action for me to kill, I want to take a picture and mark, safe from Haitians.
Right. I love
Yeah.
geese. Are awesome.
Yeah.
I still feed the ones near me.
Yeah. Evil little dinosaurs.
Somebody called them what a cobra chicken.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good description. Cobra chicken.
Yeah, I like that around here I can still occasionally see coyotes and things like that. I get the problem, especially with a lot of the people that have, chickens in their yard and stuff. The problem that coyotes can present, and even with certain people's pets, but it's kind of like one of those things. If I'm wandering around in bear country alone and defenseless, I kind of know that that's the risk, and therefore I don't do that alone and defenseless. Everything kind of has its place, and you kind of respect its territory and govern yourself and your situation wisely. I mean, that's one of the things I always find interesting about the people that I know who are probably the most conscientious about nature and the actual circle of life, not the Lion Guard, Disney Lion King, happy, snappy, sing a Elton John song circle of life, but the actual circle of life and are very protective of it and of animals and of nature, and including, you know, trees and various plant life, are hunters. Whereas the ones who are usually the rabid environmentalist make and push for such drastic, ineffective, and oftentimes devastating to nature legislation and actions imaginable. It's insane. And of course that tends to be the political class, you know, endorses or supports. So, which is just sad.
Mm-hmm.
I would say more, but I really have to monitor what I say, because there are certain questions that reasonable men in the course of current events should be able to ask as hypotheticals and as concerned citizens of a republic to address certain problems and situations. Unfortunately, if you do any of that stuff, you have people pounding on your door in the middle of the night, throwing in flashbang grenades and everything else. And it's like, but we were just men talking the way our ancestors did in public houses and pubs around 13 colonies a couple hundred years ago. But anyway, I remember reading in one book that no sooner had the revolution been won, the country began to suppress and rewrite the revolutionary spirit of the American character, because now that the fight had been won, it was time to forge a unified nation that could be governed. And you can't govern a bunch of individualistic minded, rebellious nonconformists. So, and was that real Nick August or was that fake Nick August?
No, it was real. I just put him in a timeout.
Okay, I missed what he had said because
he's spouting off. He's being a smart ass, eh?
Oh, so he's just being
he's a Southerner.
Old Nick.
Yeah.
I said we had a couple Southerners in the chat.
I know, right? And
including our cigar smoking friends.
Yes, and since this is the last public stream, my cat Mowgli was always a sort of an unofficial member of Masculine Geek. I had to on Sunday the 15th, around 7 in the morning, I had to put him down. He was 12 years old and his thyroid was going bad, and yeah, so I lost my buddy. So no more cameo appearances. If people remember back from cartoon hours that we had for the Patreons, on several other streams in the morning, he would always jump up on the desk here and just, you'd see this paw come out of nowhere and smack at me. Or Mictobus would always say drink whenever he heard me say stop that, when he was always playing and biting at my shoes. So yeah, Mictobus, Mowgli's dead. It's sad. Yeah. We went through a lot together. We had some rough times. And it was dogs too. Dogs have a presence about them, but dogs have a presence that more often than not demands your attention. Now, a cat has a bit of especially male cats, they have a bit of a stoic, goofy presence about them. And Mowgli was definitely a goofy motherfucker. But there's something about there's something calming about having a cat about. And I would talk to him all the time. I mean, he would answer in his own, like I would say, well, hey, what? Use your words. He would meow back. You know, his meows and body language would tell you it was his own way of communicating. But whenever I would sit in my reading chair, he would jump up in my lap. We had these rituals in the mornings on weekends where I'd make my coffee. and read, and he'd come up in my lap and hang out. Usually fall asleep. Sometimes we watch movies together. He liked to watch. The old D&D cartoon was one of his favorites because of the colors and the noises. For some reason, he liked to watch it. Yeah, he was a good cat. We were very well suited together. Yeah, we're very well suited together. So here's the Mowgli. Long live his memory. Thank you. So we got a lot of fake rational males and fake Drew Bays in the chat. I swear, you fuckers. So this is our final public stream. We're still broadcasting on Wednesdays. If you want to watch and participate, you have to become a channel member. But it's funny how we've got 30 between YouTube and Twitter. We've got 36 watchers, which is more than usual, bastards. Yeah, cats and dogs have their way of communicating, and they're going to let you know what's happening. But Mowgli wasn't doing well. He was losing weight. He wasn't eating right. And I finally said, "This is." I had taken him into the emergency room back in May. He wasn't passing his bowels correctly, and I had him on some Miralax, and that seemed to be working for a while. And then he stopped eating his crunchy food, and just being very. He was always very picky with his food. Stopped eating correctly, and come to find out, his thyroid was a little off, and his liver and kidneys, and he was just losing too much weight. He was almost 20 pounds when I took him into the vet in May, and over the course of between now and May, he lost about 11 pounds. So just wasn't great. Oh, cool! You're gonna get a cam for your dog. That's neat. Kind of a Coda cam. You could do a Coda cam. That'd be cool. I often thought of doing that with Mowgli, but nobody really wants to watch a cat sleep curled up in a ball on the chair. I will miss him by the fireplace, though. It's going to be very difficult to have the. We did have a final fire though before he passed. He did get to experience a final fire, but yeah, he would lay by the fire with me as I would have my drink and my book, and just read or listen to music, and he'd just be laying there. Good memories. So anyway, yeah. Coda cam might be cool. Dogs are different with that kind of stuff. Dogs are different. Cats are with that kind of shit. It's kind of lazy. But I do regret one thing with Mowgli. When I first got him, his little description card and the people at the shelter had said that this cat will go for walks. His owner had to give him up because he or she, I don't know if it was a man or one, had gone into assisted living, and they couldn't take cats. So I wound up. He was in the shelter for 9 months. Nobody wanted him. I'm like, he's coming with me. But like, oh yeah, he'll go for a walk. Like, yeah, I'm not going to be that guy. Now I kind of regret not taking him for a walk. So if I do wind up with another cat that likes that states on its description card at the shelter that this cat likes to go for walks, all right, I'll take him for a walk. He's used to that.
Yeah, and he even liked Rob.
Yeah. Oh, he loved Rob. Yeah, he's one of the few people that he would jump in his. Now TJ he did not like, because TJ liked them all. Like the fuck him. Like, TJ, leave my cat alone. Like he beat you that one day.
Did he take the cat's last croissant too, or what?
Croissant gate. He did bite TJ one time.
No, he tried. He tried and freaked out. And
he hissed at you and scraped your right hand.
Yeah.
Well, you were fucking with him. Fuck with my cat, man. You're fuck around and find out.
All right.
So, he did not like TJ.
He liked me. I tormented. few times.
Yeah, you
today.
fucked around with them. No, I have a picture. I don't really show it that often. I have one picture with Rob in my writing chair. He was on his phone, and Mowgli's in his lap. And then we were out on the balcony. We had just got done smoking cigars and having drinks. And Rob's like this, and he's sleeping. And TJ, TJ was in his lap. Mowgli was in his lap sleeping. It was a good photo. So yeah, it's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, we're coming up on the hour mark, and even though this is the last final public, no weeping, no crying. If you want to continue watching and enjoying the chats and watching the games and whatnot, you're just gonna have to pony up $4.99 a month for a channel membership. Stop whining. Yeah. So this is the final public. I should have said this is a final free public broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So just doing something different, testing some things out. We may come back in a different form sometime down the road. We'll see. You never know what we'll do. But like I said, or started to say, we're coming up on the hour mark. Is there anything we wanted to talk about briefly or go over?
Just, I appreciate being on the channel, and I hope we can restart it sometime with a new frame, or just like kind of like where it's digestible to men today, because like men have had their male spaces completely destroyed. So
Yep.
we want something that they're going to turn to.
Indeed.
Much to the amazement of women on Twitter who are asking why men don't have any male spaces.
Fucking stupid.
It's like
Men don't have
Anyway.
male spaces because women wind up with the ones that are invited into. Well, that's the first mistake: is stop inviting women into your male spaces. Women destroy them, and men let them.
Yep.
So there's that. So going forward into October, I know Drew is done with his bodybuilding stuff, so October is open for him for starting up his game. So like I said, we'll be broadcasting and playing. If you want to watch and interact, you're gonna have to be a channel member. I don't know what to tell you, but we're still business as usual, just behind the curtain. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, and if you become a Masculine Geek Life member, yes, masculinegeek.life, we do have a gentleman's gentleman's club online. Go check that out if you wish to find out more information. I'm not going to do a rundown right now. I've done so in the past, so I'm not doing it again. So just go over to masculinegeek.life and check that out. But if you do become a masculinegeek.life member, you'll have free access to the YouTube channel going forward. Having said that, I don't know if any of you are watching that have tried to join up. So over the past year, we've had about 6 to 7 members join Masculine Geek Life, but not actually pay to complete their registration process. Like they go through the initial signing up for the account, and then when it brings them to PayPal, I don't know if they changed their mind or there's an issue with that whole process, but no one's saying anything. So I don't know if you're watching, you're one of those people that tried to do that. Reach out to me at masculinegeek@gmail.com. And I should probably put up a contact page on the site, actually, for any problems or issues. Now I'm thinking about it, that was stupid. Oh, well, anyway. But, yeah, if you're having problems joining the site, masculinegeek@gmail.com. You can reach out to me. No, well, in an institutionalized sense,
Yeah.
David, yes, you're absolutely correct. I'm talking about private spaces. and nonprofit spaces, because you can create a fraternal order of men in a nonprofit sense, and kind of, not kind of, but you can get around those excluding female problems legally if you create a fraternal order. And a nonprofit, you can exclude women legally. So that's something to think about, because we've certainly thought about it. Hey, having said this, Vince must hate women. Well, you're a dumbass. If you've been following this channel, you realize, or followed my Instagram and my Twitter, you realize that, I love women. But there's a time and a place where women are appropriate. And male spaces ain't it. So, yeah. No. That's why we'll never have Masculine Geek D&D games with women. Sorry, Rollo, you're shit out of luck. Now, having said that, I would DM a game with all women wearing chainmail bikinis. That's different. Because they're all women. They're not going to change their own dynamic. It's all insanity right there at the table. No broads allowed. That's right. That's part of the. In fact, let me play that for you, since we can do what we want here. Here's a little commercial for you.
All men are geeks. Stop denying it, you bastards. And some of us are tabletop role-playing game geeks. Join us for some non-SJW, non-woke, non-PC bullshit, old-school advanced Dungeons and Dragons. At least once per month, sometimes twice, we get together with Dungeon Master Rollo Tomasi and Drew Bay for some dice slinging in the world of Dungeons and Dragons. If you're tired of the woke assholes that abound in tabletop gaming, these sniveling, overly sensitive, easily offended dipshits, then be sure to tune into Masculine Geek Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. We're not politically correct. We're raw, unfiltered, and uncensored Dungeons and Dragons gamers. Get on board, pussies. We're making history. No broads allowed. Get your own game, ladies. Spurgs and tards need not apply.
That is correct. Spurgs and tards no apply. Jesus Christ, we've got 42 people watching. Here's to you. Like I said, if you want to continue watching and enjoying Masculine Geek broadcasts and the chats and whatnot, and our D&D games, you have to join the channel. I'm sorry. It's the way it is. Cheap fucks.
And it's not like that decision wasn't coming to overnight or lightly, by the way.
You what?
It's not like that was an arbitrary decision at the last minute or anything like that. There's a reason for it, and part of that reason is the way YouTube's been handling us. So
yeah.
So there's more to it.
Frustrating.
Yeah. So it wasn't. Vince has been fighting a lot of things behind the scenes with YouTube, and I'm not going to go into all that because it doesn't matter. But it just, I did want. I don't think that was mentioned, that this wasn't like a last minute decision decided.
Oh yeah, this wasn't a silly whim
like that.
Yeah, this wasn't a silly whim. Well, let's charge everybody money and blah blah blah. No, that's not what this is about. And Robert and TJ and I have bounced ideas back and forth, and actually TJ and I came to the same conclusion independently, and our emails crossed like, oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that is a good idea. And Robert concurred.
Yep.
So it was unanimous. In this case, it was a democratic decision.
Yes.
So there will still be broadcasts. There will still be fireside chats. There will still be D&D games. There may be a guest here and there. Every once in a while, we may go public with something. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But for now, we're remaining private and members only. I kind of like the exclusivity of it. Has a certain old world charm, I think.
Oh, and it'll definitely free us up to be a little bit more. We've always tried to be honest, but we have also kind of been mindful of, if I accidentally say this one word that starts with a C, we'll be banned for life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'll rephrase it so everybody understands why we were kung flu fighting or whatever, and where we go, and there's no problem. So, and the big thing is, we like each other and are going to hang out and talk to each other regardless. So you can either be a part of us hanging out together and talk, because there are some guys in the chat that we definitely like. A certain moderator is one example, who's also a member of our D&D group. So, but yeah, so we're going to hang together and talk no matter what.
Oh yeah, we're if you want to join us, like I said, it's join the channel. Tuesday, you know better than that. Wednesday. Stop. What, we got a funny man in the chat.
Yes. I was going to say we can put mods in timeout, so be mindful.
All right.
I wonder if I banned Nick August by mistake, like in total, like a lifetime ban. I hope I hit the timeout. Nick, if you're still hanging out, give us a smart ass comment in the chat, so I know you're still there. I did not mean to ban you. I meant to put you in a timeout.
Ban him. Ban them all.
The ban hammer. All right, let's turn off the background music because I'm gonna play our outro music. It was all right. Cool. Thank you, Mictibus. Hopefully, he's learned his lesson. That bastard. Cool. All right, all 42 of you people watching Twitter and YouTube respectively, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you for being here with us on this final public broadcast. Like I said, chances are, we'll still be going live next Wednesday. Just most of you won't be joining us. So it's just how it is. But if you feel the need and the want and desire to support the show and join us, join the channel. There you go. $4.99 a month. That's
less than a coffee.
Probably less than the average coffee. Yeah. In fact, a large Wawa coffee is like $3.70, $3.80 after taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So, exactly. Well, Mictibus, you're a member, so we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes.
And same with AJ and a few other people. All right. TJ, one final time for the listeners and viewers here. Let's take us out correctly.
All right, guys. Keep the fires burning. Keep the wine flowing. Keep the lead shooting down range. Don't take anyone nickels. Don't drink all the rum, Aaron, you bastard. And sign up for our frickin' group.
Which group?
Don't be a cheap bastard.
Which one? Masculine Geek Life or the channel membership?
Both.
Well, if you join Masculine Geek Life, you get the channel membership for free.
All right. Do that.
So do that. Yeah. All right. Everyone, cheers. Enjoy. Have a great rest of your weeks and enjoy your weekends. And until next week, for those in the know and those who are joining, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Welcome to Masculine Geek, where men gather to discuss life, love, and all things geek. And unlike most YouTube channels, we don't beg for super chats. We don't play cutesy little sound bites. That crap is lame and feminine. We're men swapping notes and gathering together for men talk. We don't whine about politics or trendy red meat topics. That's juvenile 13th grade garbage. Masculine Geeks are men of courage and honor that gather together to discuss our hobbies and interests. Get on board, gentlemen.
Aaron Claire's gay. Bacon, you dumbass.